right, Anime Death Spiral, the only anime podcast brought to you straight from a burn ward in San Pedro, California. I am here, surrounded by medical equipment keeping me alive, so that I can bring the anime to you, my dear listeners. As always.
Yes, I've been really trying to accentuate that experience, sort of an immersive 3D experience style, by exclusively eating hot soup for dinner and watching movies set in deserts. It's really given me like the full body experience, you know? It's incredibly immersive.
Listen, the drier the better.
Yeah, the drier the better. It's sort of like you remember The Promise of D-Box?
I went to exactly 2 D-Box movies, and I believe one of them, oh God, it was something very dumb. I'm trying to remember.
I'm certain it was dumb, because those were dumb.
Basically, it was a Pirates movie. I went to Pirates of the Caribbean 5 in D-Box.
Was that the one where they sprayed water into your face?
No. No? The D-Box theater that I went to, that I had access to, it was just like a chair that was on some kind of like, essentially like a mechanical bull motorized movement pad, where it would just shake you around and kind of like tilt backward and forward to, I guess, mimic the motions of certain things happening on screen. But to my knowledge, movies were never made like to be viewed in D-Box like they were with the 3D resurgence from a few years ago, right?
Yeah. And a few. Like 10 years ago.
and so
I think they were primarily invented so that you could watch Fast and Furious movies.
That's like the one movie that I think would have benefited. I wish I had seen a Fast and the Furious movie in D-Box.
I do.
Because I feel like that's the one format that would have like benefited from the technology, right? Yeah, I could envision myself leaning with the car motions like I leaned with the Mario Kart when I played when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
You got to lean when you turn. Makes you turn better.
We didn't have D-Box at our downtown theater when, I think, what was it, like Fast and Furious 6 came out, maybe? It was 6 or 7. So to recreate the experience sort of in a homebrew way, we smuggled in a bunch of Four Locos and just got absolutely
You just got
trashed.
absolutely drunk, shit-faced on the floor.
And then the room really was spinning, and it was perfect. It really worked out. Truly the most perfect way to watch those movies. This is slightly less perfect because it is sticky and uncomfortable and not fun. Though I will say I've been having a lot of fun kind of going back over the old Australian grindhouse, watching Mad Max movies, I just watched Body Melt. Yeah, Wolf Creek. I watched, Talk to Me. Nice little crop of like some real nice grindhouse Australian films.
I wonder if we're ever going to get like a surgence of Australian extreme horror the way we did with France in the early 2000s.
Well, have you seen Talk to Me yet? Because, man, that was fucking...
I did see Talk to Me. I really like Talk to Me. I wouldn't say that was particularly like gory or shocking.
The scene where they're ripping the kid apart in hell.
I feel like they
spoilers
did some...
for Talk to Me. They rip a kid apart in hell.
They did some quick editing. You definitely don't see a whole lot of stuff like happening in that scene. It's a very quick cutaway.
Right. Too tame for Nate. Real iron stomach Nate over here. Not enough gore in the Australian shock horror department. I get it. Yeah, you're a big tough guy.
I know. I just braved myself through Insidious: The Red Door last night.
Yeah, you're really white knuckling your way through that movie.
I just thought it was funny. I think I told you like halfway through watching it, this felt like the first half feels like the setup for a college boner comedy.
Yes. It doesn't really pay that off, does it?
No. But it also doesn't like get super scary. I think the first two Insidious movies are both really, really good. This one was like,
wow, I wouldn't say that.
It was pretty good in the back half. What? You don't like Insidious?
That's a strong statement. I've watched every single Conjureverse movie ever made, and I would not say any of them are really good. I've watched all of them, and I wouldn't say any of them are really good.
I've seen most of them at this point, and all of the Paranormal Activities, which,
Well, I will say those movies are really good.
That should be a crossover series. Ed and Lorraine fight the demon from Paranormal Activity.
Toby. His name's Toby.
Toby. Your name is Toby.
They never really... Ed and Lorraine fight ghosts and demonic spirits, but they never actually, fight people, I know in that last Conjuring movie, they kind of fought, one person.
No, they fought an evil ghost person. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Evil Lorraine, an anti-Lorraine.
Yeah, an anti-Lorraine. But Toby has an entire army of, witches at his beck and call. A fucking SWAT team of witches. I don't think Ed and Lorraine would make it very far. Also, Toby can time travel. Did you know that?
Can he?
Toby's awesome.
Can he do that?
Toby fucking rules. Yeah.
Toby sounds OP. Toby has too many powers.
Toby is OP. I was just talking about the first Omen,
Mm-hmm.
and halfway through, not even halfway through, in the first third of Paranormal Activity, we actually do a backdoor Omen, and once Toby gets unleashed through his own little pseudo Antichrist, he develops some incredible power sets. It's like part 2 of a shonen when the author starts getting a little bored and they just invent an entirely new power system for the good and bad guys.
It's all right, and now he can, I don't know, shoot flaming needles out of his fingertips or whatever. I don't know.
Well, obviously you won't get this, but when you read through an incredible amount of Hunter x Hunter, and then they introduce the Nen system, it's sort of like that.
Don't they do something similar later on in One Piece? They introduce some kind of new power system.
One Piece, yes, they introduce Haki very, very deep into One Piece, which is essentially the way that Oda creates a way for non-Devil Fruit users to fight Devil Fruit users. Because he kind of realized at some point, these people should rule the world, right? They have insane magical powers. Some of them are functionally immortal. Shouldn't they just conquer the whole world?
Yeah, no, shouldn't they? They should be as living gods amongst us.
Yes, but they aren't. They're just very, very powerful.
No, they spend their time riding around on boats, stealing grain from people. Is that what pirates do?
Sometimes they do occasionally take over whole islands. It does happen. But then you've got somebody like Luffy's grandpa, good old Garp, who doesn't have a devil fruit power. He's just really tough. He's just a badass old dude.
He's just a tough old son of a bitch.
Yes. And that's fun because that's one of the oldest shonen traditions, isn't it? Just if you are just a badass dude who's badass enough, you just have powers.
Yeah. Well, people forget that Master Roshi invented the Kamehameha in Dragon Ball. And he was just an old dude who was really badass.
Yeah. Well, he was literally an ascetic monk.
I don't think he was a senin though, if you know what I mean.
he had achieved senin and then turned his back on senin. That's why he lost all of his powers. You can't be that horny and that powerful. You have to choose one. This is a lesson for all of us.
I choose horny every time. Why live life without flavor? God damn it!
What is the point of power without horny? I mean, when you really get down to it, that is the sort of existential question all anime poses to us.
I mean, Scarface answers it right. First, you get the power, then you get the women, then you get the sugar. Oh wait, wrong movie.
Did you watch any anime, Nate?
Surprisingly, I did end up watching an anime.
Okay,
and you're not gonna believe what I watched.
I think I'll believe it. I think you underestimate my ability to believe.
Oh, we got a believer over here, folks.
I'm a big believer over here.
Okay, all right, all
I'm
right.
insanely gullible.
I underestimated his believing ability. My bad.
Hey, try me. Lay it on me.
I actually ended up looking backwards in anime, back through the annals of history, and I landed on a fun little animation, an OVA, original video animation, for you true fans out there.
Video, interesting.
This is a little pilot OVA for a series that never got picked up called Dragon's Heaven, based off of a manga by a guy named Makoto Kobayashi.
Now, are you 100% sure you're not talking about Dragon Half?
I'm not talking about Dragon Half, which I have seen. Also an OVA for a series that never got picked up.
All right. How horny is Dragon's Heaven compared to Dragon Half?
Not nearly half as horny as Dragon Half.
Okay. Less than 50%.
Less than 50%. Oh, sure. I would say it has maybe 20% of the horniness of Dragon Half.
Okay. That's still pretty high.
Yeah. It's
background radiation.
It's not
horny.
Chaste. It's not chaste.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, an anime from the 80s, if you know what I mean, folks.
Sure. Absolutely.
No, what drew me to this was a couple things. One was, as I mentioned before, I recently went on a Dune kick.
Right.
I caught up on the Villeneuve movies, which I hadn't seen yet.
Yes, we were both deep in the old desert movie hole.
Yeah. What I watched the David Lynch movie, and then I went and rewatched the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune.
Right.
Which, for people who don't know, part of his version of Dune was that he got the French comic artist Moebius to do all of the scene planning and set design and character design for his movie that eventually never got made.
Yeah, something I would have done personally.
Yeah, no, it was a good decision to involve Moebius.
Really, really good call on his part.
But Moebius, for people who know his style, for people who don't, he has a very specific kind of comic style that's hard to describe, but I would just say go look it up because it's beautiful and weird and like amazing in so many different ways.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want to be familiar with this dude's game.
Absolutely. Go read the In-Cal. That's a good starting point. I really like that one.
Go pick up random issues of heavy metal and just like flip through them.
Yeah, do that. And so anyway, what I had seen GIFs and like snippets of Dragon's Heaven appear online for ages.
Sure.
And I always categorized it in my head as like, that's that Moebius anime, because they're just straight up copying his style from the In-Cal. In this.
Oh yeah? They're just biting his whole shit?
They're just, and it's cool. It's weird colors. It's, we got a chick in weird armor talking to a giant gangly robot, and she rides around on a giant dodo bird.
Hell yeah.
Chocobo. Giant dodo chocobo.
Dope.
It's very cool. And so I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because, like I said, the art, very cool. Animation it's that rare type of 80s animation where it is like, it gives the most loving detail to intricate machine work and cybernetics, like working in unison with each other.
Right.
I don't know. What do you call that? Just that like over animation of super detailed like doodads and stuff on like a big robot. I don't even know if it has a name.
I call it anime.
Yeah, anime. It's some prime anime.
Some Shiro Masamune type shit.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
He loved that shit.
And so the setup is very, very simple and wild at the same time. It is the year 3195. There is an ongoing war between human rebels and the robots of the Brazilian Empire.
Hell yeah.
The story takes place in the deep desert 1,000 years after the last Great War, where the robots won and took over the Earth. And we have a little desert lass who is, goes around on her dodo bird looking for scraps of metal and junk in the desert.
Okay. We're
very
getting
new Star Wars.
big Sandland vibes.
Yeah, big Sandland for sure. And she
This
happens.
is the plot of Sandland, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned I did watch a couple episodes of Sandland.
Oh, no, you didn't.
But this is the exact plot of Sandland.
I feel like maybe it's a pretty well-worn trope to fall back on in terms of desert wastelands.
Yeah.
And so she's out there doing her scrounging, and suddenly happens upon an old broken down battleship, and inside is an old world mobile suit, basically a big old robot,
A mech?
and it wakes up. Kind of a mech. Although it wakes up and explains that, like, oh, hey, I woke up because you're the first living creature with intelligence that's walked by me in 1,000 years.
Wow. Seems unlikely.
Like, she's not that far from a settlement.
Yeah.
So I kind of find it hard to believe. But basically, he explains that he is a experimental type of fighting robot where he's mostly controlled by a almost fully sentient AI, but he requires a human pilot to unlock his full potential. That's about as far as they explain that, by the way. So
Okay.
yeah,
He needs a bioorganic processor.
basically, except you don't like hook into him directly or anything. Like, you literally climb in to a pilot seat and she's like pushing buttons and inputs on a screen.
So it is a mech.
It is a mech, but it can move and shoot and do stuff by itself. She's not actually controlling him, as far as I can tell.
Oh, so this is sort of like, do you remember that F1 racing anime we talked about where the girls don't actually do the racing?
Oh, yeah.
They just sit
exactly like
they
that.
sit in the cockpit.
Yes.
That's really funny.
And so he basically says, he offers her a deal. He's like, hey, I need a human pilot to make me strong enough to go kill the robot Brazilian emperor. I'll give you half of this rare food that I just stole if you be my partner. And she's like, yeah, that sounds fun. Whatever, dude. And then that's basically it. And then they go and kill the robot emperor. And that takes place in roughly a 25-minute episode.
They really just knocked it out.
Yeah. They just knock it
Wow,
out.
that's
I feel like maybe this was intended as a pitch, and then halfway through production, they got the news that it wasn't going anywhere. And so they're like, all right, well, let's just have him shoot the robot emperor then. We have this big old final fight scene in our heads planned. We have to animate it. So let's just skip to the end. Right?
I kind of like the idea of not doing the entire middle of a story, just do the beginning and the end. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. And so the final thing that I want to touch on this is that when I pulled up this OVA, it was listed, the video length was listed as being like 42 minutes long. And the actual runtime of the animated portion is about 25 minutes.
Okay.
And I was wondering where the extra time was coming from. And it's because they do a 10-minute intro scene of real life scale models of the two robots, the robot emperor and the robot that she finds. His name is Cheyenne, by the way.
Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Cool.
Ikaru is the girl pilot, and the robot's name is Cheyenne.
Okay. All right.
And so the intro is like this 10-minute long puppet sequence of these scale model puppets of the two robots like awakening and going to fight each other. And it's very detailed. They're like 12 feet tall, like these model puppets of the robots they made.
What?
And then the final 12 minutes, as the credits play, it is a behind-the-scenes making-of video, not of the animation, but of them building these giant puppets.
Whoa, that's dope.
It's very cool, and I applaud them for the effort, but I feel like maybe some time and effort could have been put into animating more of the story than building the giant puppets.
Yeah.
Which, again, I don't know which I would prefer, actually. I don't know, because
It's hard to make that call.
It's hard to make the call because the puppets are very cool and they're very large and they're very lifelike. So I don't know. Go check out Dragon's Heaven because puppets are cool. That's my take.
Puppets are cool. I love puppets.
Puppets are cool and Moebius is cool.
Yes. Two very cool things that taste cool together.
Yeah, go check it out.
When you were describing this, it reminded me of Mamoru Nagano, because I just started reading the 5-star stories recently. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue reading it, but it reminded me of that because Mamoru Nagano is like the mechanical designer kind of manga dude. He did a bunch of like Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam design work. He's done Gundam Evolve work. He did some costume design for Tekken 3, though that's a little unrelated. But in 5-star stories, it's sort of this like far future mecha medieval society that are battling throughout the stars with these Gundams that are all, medieval Gundams. So they have swords and shields and stuff. But they have a pilot, and then they have like a physical representation of the Gundam, which is just like a beautiful girl machine thing that just also lives inside the Gundam with you. Mm-hmm. That's what it reminded me of. So in that one, of course, that means that they have like two pilots in a way, but one of them is sort of a machine. It's interesting though. That is very similar in that there's a lot of like very trippy, a little bit of a Moebius feel to it.
Yeah.
But also in the way that like the machines are so extraordinarily detailed and like beautifully done and like almost mind-bogglingly complex. And then you see the people and there's not that much to them. It's like, yeah, I think I understand what you were actually interested in, my dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but hey, check out Mamoru Nagano's stuff because truly, like I said, Shiro Masamune earlier, but like this is the dude. This is the big mechanical robot type shit dude.
All right, I will say one final thing about Dragon's Heaven.
Okay.
Something weird that I wanted to point out. For some reason, they decided to make the robot, like, death machine AI super modest for some reason.
What?
Yeah, there's a scene where the main girl, Ikaru, is taking a bath and she's naked and she's reading the instruction manual that she found for the robot. And she gets out and starts walking around naked. And he's like, hey, whoa. Could you, like, please put on some clothes? Like, come on. And he's covering up his, like, robot eyes from seeing her naked body.
Oh, my God.
I thought that was weird. It's like, why make the robot horny? Or not horny, I guess.
The Gundam is horny?
Yeah. Or he, at the very least, he's modest. He's chaste.
Well, you can't be chaste without
being horny.
Horniness.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah, it's a light and shadow, dichotomy. Mm-hmm. That's really weird. That's a really weird thing.
It is a weird thing. Anyway, horny robots, good animation. Check it out.
That's cool.
All right, what about you? You must have done some anime in the last week.
I did, and I know I just mentioned a couple of different things, but I think the main thing, and I will say that reminded me, I have a bunch of kind of older 80s stuff that I've been meaning to get back into. Did I talk about the live-action City Hunter movie that came out recently?
I believe you mentioned it to me briefly. Not, on record, but yeah, tell me a little bit more. I've not super familiar with City Hunter. It just kind of looks like a Blade Runner to me.
What if Deckard was like a really cool 80s guy?
Is Deckard not a really cool 80s guy?
No, Deckard is a fucking drip, dude. Deckard sucks.
I guess he is a bit of a downer for most of that movie.
Yeah, no, the dude in City Hunter is like, he's a playboy. He wears sharp 80s type suits, like kind of the stand-up comedy style where he has like the sleeves rolled up, the sharp shoulders. He's constantly looking over his sick ass reflector shades at you and giving you a wink. He's that kind of guy.
Okay.
Yeah. He's dope.
All right. I mean, do they fight androids?
There's various anime-style happenings throughout City Hunter. I'm like you. I'm actually not too familiar. It was just one of the things that reminded me of.
Okay.
Since that Golden Kamuy movie live action came out and the City Hunter live action came out, and I did watch the Jigen one that came out. But it had me kind of going like, I should really get back and watch some of that old 80s stuff. But instead of that, with my watch partners, we delved into the very confusing release of Dead Demons, Dededestruction. Are you familiar with this?
I can't say that I am, although I'm intrigued by the title. That's a lot of D-tones there.
I might have even skipped some. I think there might actually be more DDDs in there. There's quite a few. What can I say?
Dead Demons, Dededestruction.
Yes. Dedededestruction. This is kind of a weird release. I was under the impression that the two quote-unquote episodes released would be the part 1 and part 2 movies that they were billed as when this was announced. I was very excited when there was an announcement that there was going to be a Dead Demons Destruction anime, because author Inio Asano wrote the truly upsetting Nijigahara holograph and the also extremely upsetting Goodnight Pun Pun.
Goodnight Pun Pun. That got an anime, didn't it?
Did it? I actually don't know.
I think it did. That's the one with the weird bird head guy, right?
It has the bird head guy.
Yes, it did. I've been meaning to check that out.
Yes. Very weird, plays very heavily on some pretty dark shit. Very, very good at making you very sad. Very sad in an existential way. I'm mourning for humanity type way. So obviously that's my kind of shit. Dead Demons Destruction is something I haven't read yet. So this was a bit of a me being lazy thing that I got so excited about the anime, because I was like, oh, cool.
And just skip it.
I don't have to read it.
Yeah.
I'll just watch it. So I saw the announcement. I thought it was very interesting because they announced that they were just going to do 2 movies back to back, which is weird. That's a weird release. They don't usually do that.
No. I'm trying to think of other series that might have been adapted in that format, but I can't really think of anything. It is kind of going back to that OVA format from the 80s and 90s.
Yes, I was going to say, usually when we see that, that's because, they chopped up a series and converted it into movies, right? Mm-hmm. But this was somehow the exact opposite. They took these 2 movies and, unbeknownst to me, chopped them up into little 20-minute episodes, which I have to say, I don't really like OVAs, because when you take 12 episodes of something and compress it into an hour and a half, you fuck up the narrative pacing, right? And the structure of a story.
Well, yeah.
And guess what? That works the other way as well. When you take an hour and a half movie
and stretch it out,
if you chop it into 20-minute episodes, you're not doing anyone any favors. And this led to some friction, I have to say, with my watch partners. You know how in a movie, you an hour and a half to 2 hours, you kind of have a flow of narrative, sort of like, an intentional pacing with plot beats happening in specific places. To kind of have rising and lowering tensions to create the illusion of a chronological narrative. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Filmmaking. Mm-hmm. If you take that and you completely destroy it, it creates some odd things. And the first 2 episodes being essentially, the first half hour of a movie can be an odd experience. So Dead Demons Destruction is about modern Japan after an alien, I don't want to say invasion. It's not an invasion. Intrusion. How about that?
They just kind of show up and don't leave.
Exactly. They just show up and then they just sit there. They float above, not Tokyo, but one of those type places.
Sure. One of those Tokyo type places.
A Tokyo type place, a Tokyo style city. And this causes some concern, as you can imagine.
Do people start getting superpowers?
Well, no, nobody gets superpowers, but they do get sick. And this is because humanity's first response is to shoot a big missile at it. And when the missile hits the ship, it doesn't damage the ship, but it does cause like a radioactive burst from, I guess, the ship's, I don't know, force field or something. It's unclear. It doesn't really matter. But that reaction causes a bunch of people in the city to get sick, so a state of emergency is declared and a bunch of people lose their homes and stuff. It's that kind of situation.
Okay.
And so they decide not to shoot any more missiles and just leave it alone for a while.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah, right? Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't antagonize this unknown element while also potentially killing a bunch of our own people.
Listen, I'm not going to condemn the instinct to shoot the first missile. It's probably what I would do.
Yeah. Wow, you're a little trigger happy.
But follow-up missiles from there would definitely be a bad idea.
You're more of an Independence Day kind of guy.
Welcome to Earth, motherfucker.
Welcome to Earth. Yeah, they're kind of like Welcome to Earth, but like in a sad, dopey way.
Sure. So like Independence Day 2.
Yeah, exactly. So in the intervening years, we join our characters, a gaggle of teenage girls who are having sort of a bit of a Chunibyo experience, a little bit of, late teen doldrums as they ponder what life is going to be like in the future. And they're all not having a great time in their late teens. Things are like not great all around. They're living in a city with a bizarre alien threat hovering over them that never makes any attempt to contact humans, never attacks, never really does anything, causing sort of just mass hysteria in the old frog boiling in the pot style. So our main character, for example, our main character's mom becomes an acute hypochondriac who assumes that the aliens have brought diseases and whatnot and are causing everyone to get sick, even when there's actually no evidence of that beyond the initial radiation. And obviously this causes a lot of conflict with her daughter, who does not believe that's happening. In response to this hypochondria, the daughter becomes a Call of Duty gamer.
Dope.
Yeah.
Like a good one? Is she good?
No, she's not good. She's not like pro level or anything. She's kind of just like, hang out with her friends and like play rounds every day kind of level,
Oh, so she's just a hikikomori.
Well, she's not a shut-in.
Okay.
But she doesn't really care about anything. Most of her time is taken up with doing stupid teen shit or playing Call of Duty.
She talks a lot about ethics and game journalism.
She doesn't like talking very much in general, except to her friend who likes to talk about conspiracy theories, which is a very nice change of pace from the best friend who only likes to talk about 2D girls, which has been a lot of my anime and manga in the past couple months, unfortunately. So it's a bit of a breath of fresh air.
I don't like the phrase 2D girls. I don't like the way that makes me feel.
Me neither. I don't like it. What about gotcha girls?
That's even worse.
You don't like that one either?
That's an even more explicitly commodified connotation.
Well, what about waifus?
That one is like legacy funny to me, although I understand why it's problematic.
Okay, so that's your favorite one? I think that's my least favorite one, to be honest.
Waifu is your least favorite?
Yeah. I really don't like waifu. I really don't like best girl. That is so incredibly condescending.
Yeah, I don't like best girl. I like waifu because it comes directly from, like, it is a direct reference to Azumanga Daioh.
Well, yeah, and also it comes directly from your disgusting teenage years of being on the boards.
Yeah, well, yes. Yes, it comes from my personal time when I was most bad down.
Yeah, when you were a shitty teen.
Yeah, but I just want to say, for the record, waifu came from anime first. We didn't make that up.
I don't think it to me, it doesn't really matter where it came from. I just don't like it. I guess I don't like any of them, but if I had to pick, like 2D Girl has a literalism to it, a literality, I guess.
Yeah.
That I find slightly more charming than the other ones, I suppose.
Oh, it's like, oh, you're recognizing that at least you're obsessing over a cartoon character.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sort of like calling them, well, these are my fake women. my imaginary women.
These are my dolls.
Yes. Well, dolls are a specific thing, right? Those are already a specific thing.
Yeah.
Another kind of creepy. I just saw a breathless press release about the new a new Ava doll where Asuka has a different haircut.
Whoa. This one has a new hat.
It really is that. I was like, man,
that's why I can never get into figs, anime figures. Mostly because I don't feel the need to ejaculate on them. So I don't know why I would buy them.
You mean your wife won't let you? Stop that, Nate.
Yay. Yes, dear.
Okay, honey. Yes, dear. I don't know. I find it uncomfortable either way. The whole thing is uncomfortable to me. What's also uncomfortable is in the first couple episodes, because, again, like I said, the compression of this to like 20-minute episodes means that the central conflict of the first 2 episodes is that the main girl has a crush on her teacher. I hate to loop back around to our previous episode.
This keeps popping up. I don't like that.
It happens again.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not great. Nothing happens.
Does he reciprocate?
No, he doesn't reciprocate.
Okay, well, it has. It's one step above Gyaru Gohan. Then
yes, I mean he makes a gross comment, but only the one, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be flippant. But he doesn't do anything, and she doesn't do anything. But like I said, that is the central conflict of the first 2 episodes, wherein I can see very easily like how this gets plotted out through a movie. Whereas, this is just our introduction to our characters as the tension rises to the actual, inciting incident, which just barely happens at the end of episode 2, which is not a good place to try to hook your audience, as was reflected in my watch partners who, as immediately turning off episode 2 went, nothing happened. And I was like, yes, I know. I understand. Now, this was very funny to me because, of course, one of the big themes of Dead Demons Dededestruction is that these teenage, the whole point of an alien invader just hovering over your town is, and I feel almost childish pointing this out, but this is obviously metaphorical for actual actual disasters that are hovering over teenagers' heads. I hate to go with the most obvious one, but obviously like climate change, environmental disasters. And these teenagers look around and they see adults everywhere pretending like it doesn't exist in order to like continue their lives as normal, right? And they can't help but internalize that as nothing is ever going to change. No one is ever going to do anything about anything. And these teenagers have really internalized that to the point where they're essentially saying, there's no point to my life. There's no point to going to university. There's no point to getting a job or, trying to find relationships with other people because nothing ever changes, right? They've like really caught on to that idea, and it is actively making their lives worse.
Just like me for real.
Yes, yeah. Look, I'm not saying it isn't a sympathetic ideal, but that is a very pointed theme. And so I couldn't help but laugh very hard when my watch partner turned to me and said, I don't understand, nothing happened. It's like, come on, dude. Come on.
Did Alanis Morissette's Irony start playing in the background?
Well, we always have that playing when we're watching anime.
Oh, good.
We don't watch dubs for a reason, and that's the reason. We're just blasting it. I really liked these 2 episodes. I really, again, I'm really doing a lot of mental gymnastics to like project forward into what this would be as a movie. So I am doing a little bit of extra work on the anime's behalf. But I found the animation is fantastic. The style is really interesting and weird. I love the character moments. I love how much the focus is on sort of the dark side of the teenage ennui and angst. As you know, Nate, as we grew up, we got a lot of teenage ennui and angst media, but it tended to be more like Garden State, where it was just like some asshole who was sad because, whatever.
My first date that I ever went on was to Garden State, and it went really badly.
Oh, man. That is, I did not know that was the movie you went and saw. That is really funny. My first date was to the remake of the Poseidon Adventure, and it went really badly.
Wow. How could it have gone badly with that choice? At least I had Zach Braff on my side.
There is a child in Poseidon Adventure, and he dies, and I laughed out loud in the movie theater. That's how it went really badly. Yeah.
This was, of course, before all social norms broke down, and most people, I think, would laugh at that these days in a movie theater.
Yes, times have changed.
Yeah. You were just ahead of the times.
Yeah. And I think for the better.
He was a very cynical child, folks.
I thought it made me grown up to be cynical, It's the same reason I started smoking. I wanted to be like an adult who was cynical.
I mean, you're correct, though. You were 100% correct.
Yes, I was, on both points.
Yeah. Being cynical makes you an adult, and smoking cigarettes makes you look cooler.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of life. Sorry.
Yes, and I think if we continue watching Dead Demons, Dededestruction, these teenage girls probably will start smoking. Because fuck it, right? Who cares?
Good. They should.
Yes, teenage girls should smoke. I agree. That's the point of this show. That's what we're here to promote. Child smoking. They banned it on all official media platforms except for podcasting. This is the only place where it's still legal to say that.
We're fighting for your rights, people.
Yes. I appreciate watching something like this that reconfigures that type of ennui and angst, like I said, into something that feels more constructive, that feels more real, that feels, I don't know, less whiny, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the fact that the themes are so interconnected, they're really, really well woven together. I don't know where it goes. Like I said, I haven't read this one, so this should all be preempted by like, this could easily crash and burn within like the next episode or whatever. But hey, two episodes in, I think it's great. It's better than most of the stuff that's going right now.
Hey, it sounds cool, and tell me if I'm off base here, but it sounds like a lot of the themes are touching on similar stuff to like Fooly Cooly.
Yes, though even Fooly Cooly, I would say it had its angst and anxiety, and ennui was a little less focused than it is in Demons. The big metaphor in Fooly Cooly, right, is, hey, get your dick wet. I hate to be crass or reductive of Fooly Cooly, which I do believe has a lot of complications in its themes.
I think that is being a little bit more reductive than even you're intending to be.
It might be a little reductive of the themes of Fooly Cooly, but...
I would say the theme of Fooly Cooly is that it's stupid to want to be grown up.
It is stupid.
Not that being grown up is stupid, but that wanting to be seen as a grown up is stupid. I would say that's my personal takeaway from Fooly Cooly.
Yeah, it's dumb. And especially because as soon as you become an adult, as has been exposited to death, you immediately want to become a child again.
Isn't that the truth?
I mean, that's why we watch anime.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, right?
That's why we watch anime and play video games and don't have children.
Yeah, that's why I don't have children. Oh my god. Okay, yes, that is Dead Demons, Dededestruction. I'm only reporting on the first 2 episodes. I wish I had more for you. Maybe I'll read I'll just dive in. I'll read the whole manga and get it out of the way and see what's up. Maybe I'll report on that in the next episode.
All right. Well, I do want to hear more about it because it sounds interesting, and I'll probably go check it out.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's reminding me of Fooly Cooly, which gives it some priority, at least in my watch list at this point.
Sure. You're a sucker for that shit.
I am.
Though you didn't make it through all of the Fooly Cooly reboots, so I guess not that much of a sucker.
Oh, man, they were not great. They were pretty dang disappointing.
Did you watch the most recent one, though? Because I heard that one actually bounced back a little bit.
No, I didn't watch the most recent two. One of them was a 3D animated one, which I heard was not great.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I guess, was the one you're talking about, which is supposed to be slightly better. But no, I never got around to watching either of those because the first two round of the reboots that they put out were very disappointing.
Really soured you on the whole idea.
Yeah. Well, I was not one of those fans that was clamoring for them to go back to it to begin with, you know? I feel like Fooly Cooly occupied a very specific time and place, both in my own heart and in anime discourse in general. And I don't think that it aged poorly enough to need to go back and revisit the same themes over again. I think that it stands up. You can just go and watch Fooly Cooly. It's still there, right?
It is, but not for very much longer. This is a great transition. Nate, who made Fooly Cooly?
Oh, well, that would be seminal anime studio Gainax.
Yeah.
Well, you know, of course, in conjunction with Production IG. They worked on it together.
Okay, well, we don't need to undercut their contribution. But I don't mean to alarm you, Nate. But there is no Studio Gainax.
Oh, no. Oh, God. What happened?
Well, this has been pretty big news in the last week or so. I'm not sure when it broke, but fairly recently. Gainax is dead. They literally died. Gainax is fully ass dead.
They took Anno out behind the shed and shot him in the back. They finally pulled a coup against him. I'm imagining Japanese defense forces storming the Gainax headquarters like the opening scene of End of Eva.
I really don't know. Well, obviously, I mean, you know, talking of Anno, of course, he left like mid-2000s, and then a lot of the other people who were really talented left and made Trigger, the one we can't stop talking about. I'm not really sure who was left after that, right? I mean, obviously, you know, when spots are filled up, but it seems like it wasn't really enough. They got squeezed, and no more blood came out of that stone. They are gone. Gainax, the studio where the representative director was arrested for sexual abuse of a minor in 2019 has somehow due to apparent mismanagement gone underground and probably nothing but a smoking hole of debts and Fall Guys, essentially.
Oh, man. And just to be clear, we're not talking about Anno, right?
We're not talking about Anno.
Okay.
Anno was not the representative director of Gainax. He, of course, had left, like I said, in around 2006, maybe.
Okay, all right.
To form his own studio. But of course, he worked with them for a very long time because Gainax had a fucking iron grip on the Evangelion license. They weren't going to give that one up.
I mean, it was the moneymaker, right?
Apparently not. Even with the fucking Evangelion license, they went bankrupt, my man.
Well, that was probably due to paying off what I'm assuming are many, many unheard of allegations against this guy.
Yes, I really don't know the extent to which these press releases mean by mismanagement. But if I had to guess, I would say that mismanagement is probably an understatement, considering everything we know about Japanese businesses and whatnot.
Oh, man. I wonder how much they're going to fine him, like $4,000?
You can't tell. Well, this was 2019, so you have to take into account inflation.
Oh, okay. All right. Is he still in custody? What's going on here?
I have no idea. I don't even know who it was. It just says representative director. This is not a good sign for the industry at large.
Well, no, and hear me now. I'm predicting in the next
Hear me now.
Hear me now.
Hear me now.
I'm predicting within the next maybe 5 to 7 years, there's going to be no Studio Ghibli either.
I can't really, I know all of the shit, right? And we've talked about how the non-Miyazaki pictures get overshadowed too much by the Miyazaki pictures, but I really don't see a Ghibli without him, and he's done, right? He's cooked. Miyazaki's cooked.
Oh, no. Oh, our
dude's
boy
not
is
coming
cooked.
back, right?
Oh.
He's fucking cooked.
He got his wings clipped, and he's not getting back up.
Yeah, turn off the oven. He's done.
He's not cooking no more.
Yeah, I don't know. I do. It is a weird thing to think about anime without Ghibli. That is a weird thing to ponder.
It's kind of like pondering the death of art in general.
Yeah, it is weird to think about anime without Gainax. That is weird.
Well, can you name one thing that Gainax has worked on that you were an explicit fan of in the last 5-10 years?
I hate to say this, but Evangelion.
Besides Ava.
I'm sure. Yes, of course. I did nothing jumps to mind, but
right?
I'm sure they have had something good in the last few years.
I think what I'm saying is that we've all known that Gainax has been on the outs for a while now, even before the what was that again? Horrific sexual assaults.
Well, hey, look, we don't know the details.
It's all horrific. Come on.
Maybe the last thing that I can think of is Panty and Stocking,
which was like 25 years ago.
It was a long time. It wasn't quite 25 years, but it was a while ago now.
Oh yeah, that was supposed to be getting a season 2 also, wasn't it?
It will, but at Trigger.
Hell yeah.
Because those were all the Trigger guys anyway, so they all left around that time. So yes, that is still happening. Wild to think that they did fucking Abinabashi, Gurren Lagann, Panty and Stocking, Medaka Box. I wonder if Medaka Box was actually ever popular. The manga was, and then just this car crash, brick wall, gone, just gone.
Well, they lived long enough to be the villain and then died immediately after.
They made it just a little bit farther than Toriyama and then croaked.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to something a little more lighthearted.
Do you have something a little more lighthearted?
Yeah. No, I think I do. I have.
Okay.
As is my way. I have another weird ass rom-com that I started reading.
Oh no.
I have been reading.
Which Gyaru is it now?
No Gyaru's in sight this time.
Oh my, he's evolving.
He's growing more powerful. No, this one is a romance about two totally consenting adults that are the same age as each other.
This is mind-blowing. Are you telling me you're reading a manga about adults?
Yes.
Who are in a relationship with another adult?
They're grown-ups. They are adults. They work in an office. One of them is essentially a childlike body, but...
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. What do you mean by that?
Exactly what I mean. I have been reading a manga called My Senpai Is Annoying by Manta Shiro.
It's rude.
And it is a rom-com about a office lady who is 24, 25, who has a crush on her coworker. And the gimmick of the comic is that he is a giant muscle-bound himbo, and she's a tiny childlike little woman. And and it more or less has the body of a middle schooler. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Wait, hold on. What?
Well, I'll just send you a picture. Maybe that'll explain it.
I'm not sure I want to see pictures of this.
No, it's totally legal. Totally. They're adults.
It's totally legal. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This is the cover of the most recent manga collection.
And which of the women is
the green-haired one?
The child.
Yes. No, she's not a child.
Wait, which? What are you talking about?
She's definitely not a child. She is an adult. They make that very clear.
And so this is based on that viral tweet.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The I'm dating a 23-year-old woman who looks like an 8-year-old girl, and I'm not a creep.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that.
That you know that tweet? You haven't seen that?
I haven't seen that tweet, but that is exactly the premise of the comic.
Wait. Look, somebody wrote an article about this tweet. Tell me this is not the comic you're talking about.
Nope, that's the comic. That's it.
This is the comic.
Yep. It's exactly that. Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Okay.
And so obviously I was off put from the beginning just by the premise. But I was curious. I had to see where exactly they were going this because, something about it did remind me of the dynamic from Dangers in My Heart, which I've talked to you about how that makes me feel in the past.
And so you thought, what about an inherently creepier version of that?
Yes.
That's what you thought.
Well, it's just, okay, that one, it's weird that it's essentially about middle schoolers and one of them is a fully grown adult woman. This is exactly the opposite of that. These are all adults. Just one of them happens to be a very petite woman.
Yes.
Which is a body type that exists out there, I have to imagine that it's hard for women like this.
I just linked you the article.
Yeah.
Now, will you scroll down on that article just a little bit to the picture of them paddleboarding together?
It's in the thumbnail.
You just take a look. No, there's a better picture halfway through the article. Can you tell me, is this what the comic is about? This image.
No. And so, okay, that's what I thought the comic was going to be about.
Oh, fuck.
That's what I thought the comic was.
Wait, hold on. I don't want to, I just in case, I don't want to sound callous. This is a woman whose growth was stunted because of a cancerous tumor. My deep sympathies out to her, but, yeah, you could understand why people would feel this way, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I just don't. I don't want to sound super cruel, but man, I don't know.
And so, do you want to know what the most wild thing about this is?
Sure.
No one ever calls them out on that specific aspect.
No one mentions it.
No one mentions it at all.
And he never tweets. He never puts out tweets that are like, "Stop calling me creepy."
No.
He never puts a Tumblr post that's like, my 8-year-old girlfriend is actually 23 and I'm not creepy.
Well, okay, so first of all, you have to understand they're not actually dating. As is rom-com tradition, he's too dumb to understand that she's into him.
Okay.
He just views her as his work kohai, right? And he only pats her on the head in a totally platonic way, and takes her to the movies in a totally friend way, and buys her stuffed animals in a totally normal, not creepy way that friends do.
Yeah. Hey, while you're on it, I just say another one of those weird things that I can't decide is if maybe it's just me being culturally insensitive or whatever. But hey, patting people on the head? What the fuck, man? That is like the most condescending shit. What is she, a dog? Like, what the fuck? I don't understand that.
I mean, I don't think it's that hard to understand when you look at it from the point of the very deep-seated misogyny that just kind of surrounds us all the time, right?
Well,
but especially in anime.
That's where my mind goes to. I'm just wondering if maybe there's like another cultural dimension that I just don't understand.
I don't. If you're asking, do women actually like head pats? No, I don't think so.
You would know, right?
Oh yeah, no, I would definitely know.
You're constantly doing it, and no one likes it.
I have been banned from a couple places. I think I got the hint.
No, I'm doing a social experiment.
Head pats for TikTok.
Will you let me pat your head for $100?
God. I mean, yes, because I could use the $100.
Definitely use the $100.
I don't know. It really undercuts any plausible deniability that they had about this not being creepy when they go out of their way to explicitly characterize her as not only physically childlike, but she is just childlike in general outside of work, you know? She's really into gacha games and like getting cute keychains, and she still sleeps in a pile of stuffed animals on her bed. And she's very concerned about stuff like indirect kissing, which, in manga is kind of, it gets lampooned a lot as something that only immature little kids are into, right? Or concerned about.
Sure.
So I don't know what they're trying to say with any of this. I guess I'm just as confused as you. You know, they seem to switch back and forth between trying to characterize her as a adult who is annoyed by the fact that people are constantly treating her like a child because she looks like a child. And she does have like moments where she says how like shitty that makes her feel. And she wants to be taken seriously as a grown-up. But then at the other hand, she, like I said, exhibits a whole bunch of traditionally childlike qualities that she refuses to, I guess, give up as part of maturity.
Sure. Like when grown men collect dolls of little girls.
Yeah. All of that is suspect, but when you pair it with the fact that he is drawn as like a giant, muscle-bound, 7-foot tall, like gorilla man. That's what pushes it into a little bit more red flag territory for me.
Yes, it is odd that he does seem to be massive and barrel-chested and perpetually upset for some reason.
No, he's kind of like a jolly dude. Here's a better picture. Or not better, I guess. Better's not the right word.
That's not better. That is not better.
And, it's like they're always going out and people are mistaking her for his daughter. And that really annoys her. And he doesn't get why she would be upset at that. What I'm trying to say is that he actively treats her like not only a child, but his child. He treats her like his child.
And she wants to fuck him?
In so many words.
I mean, I'm just
Listen,
asking.
the manga would never say it like that, okay? The author would never put it like that.
Okay.
But let's say she does want to stay over and watch horror movies with him all night.
What is the professional relationship here?
Well, they are both, I think they're accountants at some big company, and he is her senpai and she is his kohai. Which I was unaware of this. I thought that was just kind of like a natural pairing that you get to decide for yourself. Like you get to decide who you call your senpai. But no, in this, they literally on her first day of work after getting hired at the company, bring her and this guy into the boss's office, and the boss says, "All right, you two are going to be senpai and kohai now. Get to it."
Well, maybe it's this company structure. They're like, well, you're going to need a mentor.
Yeah.
So we're going to get the really easily annoyed guy who's twice as tall as you are, and you're just going to shadow him everywhere.
No, he's the annoying one. He's kind of like a dumb, big dumb giant dude, and she's the one that gets annoyed at him.
I see.
I just want to get the facts straight.
Well, this changes things in ways that make me even more uncomfortable. Why are you reading this, Nate?
Because I'm very, very broken and lonely a lot of the times. I'm trying to fill a void.
Oh, man. Do you relate to either one of these characters?
I definitely relate to being a tiny little middle school girl working in an office. That's very relatable to me.
Oh, my God. Wow. Okay. Sure.
You know what can I say other than the heart wants what it wants?
All right, that sounds like a good time to take a break.
Please let me stop talking.
Oh my God, I cannot believe. Okay, let's take a break to spare Nate any further embarrassment. Well, now that we've washed Nate's shame from our hands, we will not be talking about that manga again.
Ever.
I think, in fact, we will just kind of waterfall it away, much like the eye stations in like science labs. I think it's time to like really water blast that shit away.
Kind of like the crimes of a sitting president. We'll just kind of throw more manga to talk about to wash away that one.
Yes. And in fact, maybe just to like kind of clear the air after the last episode too.
Yeah, we've been in a dark place. We've been wallowing around in some mud for a while.
It's getting kind of bad, but I have been reading a lot of manga, and I think some of them are even good.
Oh shit, really?
I'm willing to say that some of them are actually like pretty good. And since it's too hot today for us to do anything interesting, I think it's time to clear out a little bit of this manga backlog. I'm ready. I wanna get some of these manga out of the way here because I read a bunch of manga and I want to talk about them.
All right. I'm
excited to talk about
I'm going to
them.
throw some darts at the wall here, pick some names at random, and hopefully none of them will be the ones you actually want to talk about.
Well, there's probably like a 1 in 5 chance.
Okay.
All right, Nate, hit me.
Let's see here. Let's start off with a good time. Let's start with a fun time. Tell me about Tokyo Cannabis Special Ward.
Hell yeah, dude. Tokyo Cannabis Special Ward. Now, I'm pretty sure I've brought this up maybe a couple times as something that was sitting on my to-read list. I finally got around. I read the first 2 chapters of this. This is Tokyo Cannabis Special Ward, the guy called Cannabis King. This is by Inai Yuto. And as we've discussed previously, I'm kind of fascinated by drug culture in Japan. It's really wild. And this one's pretty wild too. This is about a florist, a guy who was apparently a genius botanist in his college days.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Yes, but he kind of fell on hard times because he started a flower shop with his wife, and it's not doing so well. And he's got a lot of anxiety about that. He wants to be able to put his daughter through college and all this. It's sort of a very low-key Breaking Bad setup, kind of like instead of cancer, it's like, what if you felt emasculated by your wife getting a second job? That's kind of the premise.
Okay, so kind of like low-key Breaking Bad. I get it.
Yes.
All right.
So he goes to a college reunion. Apparently they do like 10 and 20-year college reunions.
I didn't even go to my high school reunion. I don't know a single person that I met at my college. There's no way you would get me to go back there.
You would never deign to show your face at one of these things.
Let me rephrase that. I am not allowed to show my face at one of these things.
He's not allowed. He's not really that into it, but he kind of goes on a whim because there's like one friend he made that he hasn't talked to in a while, and he kind of hopes he would show up. And the guy does show up, and they have a good time together. They reminisce. They do the whole thing. They end up back at his friend's house, and they're just like drinking and chilling and have a good time. And then he gets a little too drunk and he starts kind of trauma dumping on his friend. And he's like, I feel like a failure. People don't buy flowers anymore. My wife is like making more money than me at her part-time job. And like the way that her and my daughter are like supportive of me just makes me feel worse. I feel like an idiot. My life's not going anywhere. And the dude's like, hold on, dude. Hold up. You got to chill out, man. You got to chill.
Wait, is this why people stop inviting me out to bars?
Well, it is why I urged you to move away.
I need you to be away from me right now.
I'm going to need you to move two states over, at least. This dude's like, I really didn't want to bring this up because I know you're clearly an insanely neurotic dude, and this is probably not good for your mental health, but I do have a way to get you out of this situation and make some money, and more importantly, reassert your manhood. And that way is, and then he throws his closet open and he has a massive closet grow.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
And he's like, dude, I'm growing crazy ass weed. And this really freaks our dude out, because he only wants to use botany for good and not evil. Yeah. This is that kind of manga.
You know, I find the Japanese zeitgeist around weed so confusing, especially, and it's, I'm not the first person to talk about it, but especially for such a heavy drinking culture.
Yeah.
It can only be a case of massive anti-weed propaganda at this point, right?
Oh, of course it is.
To think that it's anywhere as destructive as they seem to imply it is in manga and anime.
It's the absolutely boilerplate drug prohibition stuff. And, associating it with counterculture types who were so thoroughly crushed in the 60s and 70s, even more so than here, right? Really, really stigmatizes stuff. And of course, punishing people incredibly harshly makes people incredibly afraid of drug culture. It's a spiral effect. It feeds in on itself.
Mm-hmm. It's reefer madness shit.
It is absolutely reefer madness shit. And this manga is hilarious because the main character is growing weed, but he is also a reefer madness character where he's insanely afraid of weed.
Well, yeah, they're just doing the same thing as Breaking Bad still. It's, Walt he never did meth. He always saw that as below him, right?
Yes.
Meth is like a biker redneck drug.
Yes, exactly. But and this is definitely a big cultural difference. For Walt, like you said, it's beneath him. The reason he doesn't do meth or whatever is because that's what poor people do, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what dumb people do. For this guy, growing weed is what evil people do.
Oh no!
Yeah, growing weed is somehow a betrayal of everything he strove for as a botany student. All of his ideals.
I mean, being a botany student, and especially if we're to believe that he was a genius botanist,
yeah,
wouldn't that make him more open and accepting of the idea that plants have natural, beneficial effects, and in fact are not evil?
Apparently not. But to get our dude on board, he, of course, and this is how you do it. If anybody's curious, this is how you do it. He appeals to our man's vanity. He says, I would never propose this to a normie, but I happen to know that you are a genius master. And I've made it my life's work to chase down Mick. And he goes, what's Mick? And he goes, Mick is the legendary strain of marijuana that's only been grown in Japan. Mick was the best weed that has ever been grown in Japan. It made you higher, more pleasure, more intensity.
Oh my God, that is so funny and so Japanese to be like, oh, we hate weed. We think that it's only for evil people and doing drugs is inherently bad. But also, if we were to grow drugs, we would be the fucking best at it. And Japanese weed would kick all of your weed's ass.
Japanese weed. Okay, check this out. They name drop. When he's talking about weed, he's like, well, nowadays, marijuana the strains are just imported from, other places overseas and stuff like Girl Scout cookies or Blue Dream or White Widow or Northern Lights. Those are the inferior strains that we've had to import from foreigners, but they have nothing on Mick. So, my friend, will you join hands with me and create the next legendary marijuana? And he goes, no, I can't because marijuana is evil. But when he gets home, he finds that his friend has slipped a couple weed seeds into his bag.
Are they drawn like tiny little skulls?
Oh, God, I wish. No, it's pretty accurate. For what it's worth, it seems like whoever did this was maybe like in the culture, perhaps, or at least did a lot of research. It's insanely funny to me. And this whole thing is set up, and he's agonizing about whether he's going to do it because, like, again, this guy genuinely thinks like weed is like ontologically evil.
That's, I mean, both very funny but extremely, extremely sad. Honestly,
it is. It's both, but it's very amusing to me. And so I'm gonna see. I'm not even sure if there's more. I have to go try to track more of this down. Like I said, I only read the first 2 chapters, but I'm really hoping I can find some more because I am so excited to see this guy's meteoric rise to the top of the illegal marijuana trade.
I'm definitely gonna check this one out now. I'm putting it on my list right now.
It's wild.
Okay. I am quickly running out of steam here, so let's pick one more and then call it a night. What do you say?
Well, fair enough. I wanted to burn off more of these, but it is too hot today.
Listen, I'm only human. Until I can replace my puny human body with machinery that is designed only to consume anime unendingly, this is just the cards we have to play with, all right?
If we can ever invent some kind of technology that cools a room, I think we would make huge strides into being able to talk about manga and anime. Alas.
Okay.
All right, pick me one more. I'll spit some game here.
Okay. All right. Another one. All right. Why don't you tell me about? Oh boy. I hope this isn't as bad as the name implies. Tell me about Unemployed concentration camp.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I like Unemployed concentration camp. Unemployed concentration camp. Quite the provocative title, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is a manga by Gi So-young and Atsushi Kamakura, and it's clearly about Japanese anxiety about non-participation in the labor market, right?
Right. Okay. So
the title's pretty on the nose. It's literally about
putting unemployed people into concentration camps.
Yes. So the premise is that Japan creates these new laws where essentially if you are unemployed for 6 months, they will reprogram your brain into a productive member of society.
Okay.
Which is...
that doesn't sound great. That doesn't sound like a good time.
Yeah. On its face, incredibly dystopian and horrible. But check it out. Underneath that layer, there is a disturbing reality.
Okay. So that was the mundane reality, and there's a more disturbing one underneath it?
There's an even more disturbing reality underneath that. Our main character, I believe his name is Tatsuya Kamijo. He is what younger people might describe as a Chad.
A totally cool Sigma male.
Yes, he is a finance bro who is killing it. He is He's wearing Armani suits to the office. He's got the hot girlfriend, arm candy. He's driving sick cars. He's feeling good, right?
I like it. I like what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Until one day,
oh no,
a mysterious newcomer transfers into his department. And this is they have a special name for these guys. I wish I remembered it. He's one of these guys who's had his brain rewritten to be good at his job.
We call that middle management.
This guy it's very effective. It's clearly very effective because this dude out the gate is better than him at everything he's doing. And this does not bode well. Our man doesn't really believe that he can fail until the day they bring him into the office and say, hey, man, we're firing you. That weird brain surgery robot guy, he's like way more efficient than you are. So goodbye. And our man's is like, hey, you can't fucking do that. Like,
should have joined a union is all I'm saying.
Well, I think in this world, they have already murdered every union labor organizer.
It is a bit naive to think that they would both employ lobotomizing citizens for unemployment and put up with labor unions at the same time.
Yes, exactly, right? So nobody, I didn't read the entirety. I read like the first 2 volumes of this, and I don't think labor unions are mentioned even a single time. So that kind of tells you the politics of this manga. It believes unemployment. It has sympathy towards unemployment in culture, and the way that culture views people as nothing but metrics towards productivity. And how labor participation is the only metric that the state will use to determine your worth. And yet it does not have the politics to imagine a world where anybody does anything about that. Except for this. Our man, like I said, gets replaced. And he is taken immediately to, drumroll please, the Unemployed concentration camp.
Oh, okay.
Which is so much worse than he could have possibly imagined.
Wait, what was he imagining if it was worse than that?
Well, he thought he was just going to go to the treatment center where they replace his brain with a good brain.
Oh, okay.
But no, that is not what happens. What happens is he goes to the concentration camp where they tell him that he no longer has human rights, and he is essentially a dog and must live a dog's life. He's chained up. He's stripped of his name and personality. He has worked at menial labor jobs that have no point except for to break him mentally. He is beaten every day and night. It gets bleak.
I mean, I was expecting a happy story from a concentration camp.
Yes. Well, luckily for our man, because he was such a Chad before in his previous life, he manages to resist most of the brainwashing and colludes with a group of other brainwash-resistant people into forming a...
Are they all Chads too?
Not like him.
Okay.
I mean, he's handsome and brave and physically fit and smarter than people because, he's my main character.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Go on.
But they have their own charms. But they form an escape plan, and that's sort of where our story kind of really takes off, is the implementation of this escape plan. They want to escape from the Unemployed concentration camp.
Like some kind of great escape?
Sort of, yeah. Sort of. But much darker. Much, much darker. And a little more exploitative. A little. No, a lot more exploitative.
A lot more, okay.
Yeah, this is exploitation
I was
horror.
more prepared for that than less exploitative.
Yeah. This is exploitation horror in a lot of the ways that you would imagine. But it has, this level of like a labor awareness and an interest in labor politics, kind of glossed over the top of that exploitation horror to it. It has a little bit of a death game gene in its gene pool, which is what drew me initially to it. And I like it. I think the art's really good. The storytelling moves at a really good clip. I think the way that our main character gets his ass beat, both physically and symbolically, is really good. The way that he kind of transforms and the way that he thinks about his own society and the way that he thinks about himself is admirable for a essentially grindhouse horror story.
Oh, you're saying that he goes into the concentration camp and suddenly he has an appreciation for how fucked up society was? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you know what? It does disabuse him of the notion of, let's say, some kind of hierarchical societal system based on labor participation. It does make him think maybe that's not the best way to build a society.
Damn, if only he could have arrived at that conclusion without it literally having to affect him.
Yeah. In perhaps the worst possible way that could happen to a human being. Yeah. Interesting, right?
Now, I have to ask one final thing about this. Where do they full on evoke Nazi imagery? Or do they shy away from that?
Well, they're not exactly wearing striped pajamas, but I'm telling you, they're not that far off.
I mean, I was thinking more like anime's tendency to use Nazi uniform aesthetics, let's say liberally, in character design.
There is a little bit of that for sure. You know, the people who run the camp are definitely, you know, you could, if somebody called them commandants, I don't think anyone would blink too hard at that. I think if you are going to call your manga, you know, Unemployed concentration camp, it's going to be a little bit hard to get around the whole Nazi thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think they should lean into it. Go full Wolfenstein on it, you know? I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I'm not going to say they don't.
All right. Well, I'm definitely adding this one to the list too then.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, see if you like it. I don't know. Yeah, this might not be for everyone.
Well, I need something to really pick up the mood, you know? I've been feeling down lately, and this sounds like a nice, happy pick-me-up type of story.
Well, you said you read a thing about adults, and that's probably pretty novel for you, and this one is about adults. Might be even more refreshing. That's what I'll say.
All right.
That's my final word about Unemployed concentration camp.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. Dear, gentle, beautiful listeners, for Remy's health, we're going to call it a night here. I can feel him melting from across the airwaves here.
Yeah, you can probably hear it in my voice.
Yeah. He is, in fact, getting droopier sounding by the second.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Go, please, like, subscribe, review, do all that stuff. Follow us on Blue Sky, follow us on TikTok. We're occasionally putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
Do all that stuff. You know.
Yeah.
You want to do it.
Do the stuff.
Do it for us.
Hey, if you have ideas to make the show better, email us, because, man, we don't have any fucking clue.
animedeathspiral@gmail.com.
Yeah, send your recommendations. I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, please. Give us something. We'd love it.
Anything to help me not have to put effort into this. Please.
Okay, enough begging. We don't need your sympathy. We just need you to watch anime.
That's true. Just watch anime. Or read Unemployed Concentration Camp.
Just make sure whatever you read is about adults.
And with that hypocritical notion, I think we can say bye. I guess I'm gonna buy a gun?